Teaching science is a compulsory second year subject at La Trobe. We have an interface with the Discovery Centre here in Bendigo, as well as 4 local schools. What that gives us is another opportunity for our PSTs to interact with the Primary Connections material in an environment where it's more realistic. So it's in a classroom setting for Engage phase, it's in a Discovery for the Explore phase, and then they also include a technology element in an Elaborate phase activity as part of that assessment.
The most crucial thing about planning this lesson was communication, and that would be communication with our university lecturer and making sure we knew what we needed to include in our lesson. Communication with the teacher at Quarry Hill Primary School so that we knew how the class runs. Brenton was very instrumental in doing that.
They had one lead designated communicator, and so he emailed me back with an outline of what the team hoped to get done throughout the lesson, and so he said, is there any prior learning that has already happened and what would you like us to get out of it? And I said, well, no prior learning has happened this year with regards to melting moments or that type of unit. I'm happy to support you in what you need.
So our lesson today was based around the melting moments of Primary Connections unit, in particular lesson 1, which is sunken shapes. So with that bit there, we're covering the difference of solids and liquids and how they melt and freeze.
We opened the lesson with a scene from the movie Frozen. It was Olaf's song in summer, and it was a good hook to draw similarities between what kids have already seen in their everyday life to the science topics that we were teaching in the lesson.
So the Engage phase is based on understanding the pre-existing knowledge. We use the butcher's paper or the poster paper, and the discussion of the melt and freeze. We use those two as tools that enable the students to visually or orally describe what they previously knew. We made sure not to use language such as yes, no, that's incorrect, that is correct. We just want them to pretty much teach us what they know.
Solid is something that's hard and can't be broken with a normal knife, but liquids is something that can drip out of a glass or a mug, and ice is a solid and a liquid at the same time because it melts into a liquid.
When the lava comes out of a volcano, it's a liquid and then it turns into a solid because it turns into a rock.
To conclude the lesson, we had a special game. It was based on Bobs and Statues, but we called it Melt and Freeze.
So that was our diagnostic assessment where we were able to gauge whether the students understood if something froze or if something melted. And we used the song from the start from Frozen, so you can start and end the lesson with the same idea, so students can wrap everything up together in their minds.
We worked as a team to do this. This was not just one person. We all had to put in our ideas. Brenton, he came up with the game at the end. Jess, she came up with including Frozen. I came up with the group activities and engaging the students.
At the start when we had that little technical hitch with the laptops, and they were just calmly sitting there, weren't causing any ruckus. So that was really good, and that really eased me to be able to make the lesson go a bit more smoother. So that's what I learned.
I think that comes from the energy you guys brought into the room, because you come in and calm but confident. They sort of take that on board, I think. So that worked really well. I think it went really well. I really liked how you had the Frozen part at the start, because that really engages them. They all know the movie, so it was a really great little catch for them. It was a bit of a hook. And I really liked how you kept directing the questions to all of the students, so that, you know, even if they didn't have their hand up, you even made mention of that and said, not just the same people, try and get a few different people having a go, which was really good. And it was really great how well prepared you guys were. You could tell that you've actually worked together on it.
The knowledge that they learnt today will be complemented in tomorrow's lab, which is going through a phase lab. Students have shown that they understand a solid and a liquid. Experts will be teaching the students how a piece of matter can be both.
So we've been looking at solids, liquids and gases, but what if we can make something that's in between a solid and a liquid? In your pairs, you've got a plastic cup with some powder in it. Now I want you to take it in turns and give it a stir between you and your partner. And is the powder a solid, liquid or gas?
Careful, it doesn't come out of solid.
Solid, very good, it is a solid. So what I want you to do is draw a tiny drop of water in it, tiny, and then stir. and see how the feeling changes, whether the material in there changes. And then once you've stirred that in, you add a tiny bit more, and then you keep going until you make something called slime. Or it's got a fancier name called oobleck. We're really excited about bringing the pre-service teachers into here because we've got a wealth of science content knowledge here. We've got an amazing group of staff that have been teaching science through shows and labs for many years now. And something else we aim to do in these labs is to model good practice. So we do these labs for a variety of different age groups, but every time we do the lab, we're picking specific words and giving them the extra scientific content, the scientific language that they're going to use in the years going on beyond that. And I really want the pre-service teachers to take that on board and think about how they are engaging with their students as well. Slime is the bits of corn flour and the water all kind of floating around together, really. Now, it's got a special name of a stir-thickening fluid or a non-Newtonian fluid, which means if you put a lot of force to it, like if you try and stir it really quickly, then it acts really, really hard. But if I just let the stick kind of sit, it'll just sink. And this is because you've got all those little bits of corn flour, or those solid bits of corn flour. And when you try and hit the corn flour hard, those bits will come together and they'll act like a solid. But if you just put your stick in slowly, then the water will come in between those hard bits and it'll act like a liquid.
So after seeing the scientists model the lesson on making slime, I would say that it would be quite simple to be able to do that in a lesson on practicum in the future.
Being a pilot, which involves La Trobe, the schools and students, and also Discovery, is that we're also working with REMSTEP. And so they're bringing in a whole different perspective, which I hadn't necessarily thought about. This time we're going to have some professional evaluation, see what we've done well, and I think we'll get lots of big ticks for that, and also improve perhaps some of those ways that we are engaging with pre-service teachers, which is kind of a new audience for us.
What do you think you've gotten out of the program so far?
I would say it's lessened my fear of teaching science. It's not so much like being scared of it, but more the fact that you think if you don't have a very firm background in science and you sort of worry about going into an environment and you're meant to be teaching the kids and you don't know a whole lot about it yourself.
So have you found the Primary Connections material useful in helping with that understanding?
Definitely. It's been really good to kind of have an example. Like a lot of stuff while we're doing uni, a lot of it's kind of, you have to try and make it up yourself, kind of assume what they're wanting. However, with the Primary Connections, even though we modified our lesson, we had something to go off. We can see exactly what we needed, the information we needed. So we can go, okay, we'll just put in our own words, but we've got the information.
What we've got is the best collaboration between students, which means families in Bendigo, pre-service teachers from right across northern Victoria and beyond, and of course, call it the learning cred of La Trobe University. If you have got preps, about 95%, if you said, what do you think of science and technology, you go, awesome! Grade 4, down to maybe 45 to 50%. And what are we doing to try and keep that prep level of wonder at the natural world? Now we're getting access to budding teachers, and if we can give them that idea of sowing seeds amongst their 30 times 20 years of career teaching, that's 600, 1,000 students that they'll be able to say, these are techniques to really make people excited and inspired about science and technology.